How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Blue Screen Attack. Today we're briefly going over Anipang Matchlike, a roguelike style Match 3 RPG game by a company called We Made Playco Ltd. Based in South Korea. They have a series of Anipang games, but this one is like, I think one of their most recent, or maybe the most recent. It's very similar to other Match 3 games, honestly, but instead of having a team of heroes to collect, to use in battle you have like one hero that you get to use at a time, but you do have more than one that you can collect. Now, one important thing to note, you can only link to one device at a time. So if you are linked to a phone and you want to play on your tablet, it'll warn you that you need to link to that new device, and it won't be linked to the other. So you can't just like switch between devices if you want to. It's just how it is. We'll get right into some gameplay here. I'm going to go into a dungeon. I'm going to play this level up here. Now right off the bat, you're allowed to get a skill set or some type of like buff that you can get at the beginning of a battle when you're inside a dungeon. In regular battles, you have to do that after the end of each little like portion of the level that you're in. But basically the battle mechanics are pretty much the same. So like any other Match 3 game, right, you're going to have color tiles that you need to match up. The enemies will differ depending on what it is that you're actually doing, and then the ability of what those enemies have is also going to differ depending on what they are. You can match tiles, you just need at least 3 in a row, but you can also do them in like a square. You can also do them like in like an L shape, in like a crisscross. So as long as you have at least 3, it should work. There's a lot of different power-ups that you can get throughout the level. These little scrolls here, they'll go either up, down, or left, right. In some levels, you have crates that you need to break, and sometimes they act as barriers. Sometimes they act as like having power-ups inside them. In this case, with this particular power-up, I have a radius of where I can drag it over. If I drag it outside that radius, it'll cancel. So as long as I'm inside, you can let it go and it'll do its thing. This here is a flask. That was a flame flask, and it works the same way. You drag it over to where you want and let it go. Now you have some cool little animations at the top. It shows your character hitting the enemy, and then it'll also show you your health and their health, so you know like where you are in the battle. You know, one thing I forgot about is those little green guys, they can actually eat your power-ups. Certain enemies can actually move. Sometimes they jump, sometimes they can move from side to side. Some of them are defensive, some of them are better with their offense. The little carrots that you see are actually what helps replenish your health back. In some cases, like here, I was able to get 3 power-ups at the end of that battle. Sometimes it's just 1. Alright, now this level's a little bit long, so I'm going to go ahead and back out of this one as soon as it lets me. Now, if you go to play your main level, right now I'm in Chapter 5. When you're in Chapter 4, honestly, the end boss in Chapter 4 is really hard. It took me quite a while to be able to get it. So you're going to get points where you're going to feel like you're getting stuck, and that's where you're going to have to upgrade your character, upgrade your gear. You're going to have to make sure that you get the necessary things that you need to get your life higher, such as like with your skill tree and other things, and we'll go over that in a second. So one thing with the main battles, as far as I can tell, the music is always the same, and this is probably one of the really bad points of this particular game. Like, the dungeon music isn't too bad. It actually sounds like a little bit more like exciting, but the main music in here, it's irritating once you hear it about 2 or 3 times, and anything beyond that. It kind of reminds me, not exactly one for one, but you know, like when Candy Crush first came out, yeah, it's kind of like that. You just the music just, it really starts to get on your nerves. I wish they had a couple of different tracks that they could let you do, but they just didn't do it. These little books here, they're one of those like clear all of a certain type of tile, so all you gotta do is just drag it over to the one that you want, and then it should clear that color. So you can see here, I'm now on stage 2 of 10 of this particular level. So this is another long one, and I am also on the last section of this particular chapter, so it's also going to be like a really hard boss fight, which I probably won't make it because I really need to upgrade the health of my guy. I'm also playing on double the speed. This is something that they just gave us recently, because at first, if you wanted to have ×2 speed, they made you watch an advertisement video, and then it was only good for like 60 minutes, unless you like had a pass or whatever, then you could do it from there. But you actually get 2 levels of speed now without it being an issue. And I highly recommend that you actually keep this on speed number 2, because some of the battles will go extremely slow if you don't. Now there isn't much to do when it comes to leveling up your characters. The skill tree, or traits that they call it in this, is probably your biggest thing that keeps your character stronger and ahead of the curve, but the gold cost in this goes way up really quickly. As far as I can tell, it always goes up in the same order. It's usually attack, HP, and then recovery. So right here I need to level up my HP. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. The cost on this right now is 24k gold, and I'm at, I guess, level 8 on the skill tree. I only have 51k gold left, so you can see how this easily stacks up. Now the next thing that you can do is your gear equipment. So if you go into your equipment, you can filter out the equipment that you need or that you have by the type, or just leave it on all. After that, you can merge items, and in order to merge items you have to have 3 of the same item. So I can't really show it right now, but to do an example, if I put like this sword in here, I would need to have 2 more of those so you can level it up. You can also do a auto merge if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so if you have enough, down at the bottom you have auto merge and it'll just do it all for you. But again, I believe that takes a certain amount of gold, and it doesn't tell you ahead of time how much gold it's gonna take, so you gotta be really cautious about that. Also, you can level up your items. So if I take my like amulet here, as long as I have the proper scrolls, this time I do, I can just hit level up and it levels up. That's pretty much it for that. Now, one thing I don't have unlocked yet is the artifacts. You've got to get to level 12-3, and that's way easier said than done because it takes a long time to get through some of these chapters, unfortunately. So you really have to grind it out in order to get up to that point. For daily resources, you do have idle resources you get to collect. If you go down here to exploration, you've got quick exploration and claim. So I'm gonna go ahead and claim what I've got right there. If you do quick exploration, you can spend some of your energy that you have, or you get a chance to do, I think, this once per day to watch an advertisement. Out back over here, if you go down to the shop, you go down a bit, and you do have a basic box and an advanced box. Right now I've got 3 keys, but you do get at least 1 key per day if I remember right. And advanced box, it's not once per day, but you know, it's not it's often enough. Below that, in the daily shop, you've got free gems that you can collect, and then down at the bottom they do give you some free gold. The best box that you can get is the special box right up here. Right now I've got 1 key, so whenever you get a chance to get something out of here, I would take it, because these things are super gem soakers. Because if you want to do a 10 draw, it's 3,000 gems. 1 draw is 300, and I think I've spent some gems early on, and I don't know, it wasn't too worth it. I didn't get anything good. Now moving on over here to the other gameplay modes, you've got dungeons. Right now I've only got 2 dungeons unlocked, and I'm really kind of curious on what other kind of dungeons that you do get. But you get gold dungeon up here, and you can sweep those if you've got the ability to, and that obviously gives you gold. Chapter dungeons, which I'm almost done with, and these ones give you gems, and I don't know what happens after you clear all these out. Like, does it do like another field of these or what? But kind of interesting. I kind of wish they showed you the other type of dungeons that you can actually unlock. Like maybe they grade them out and they said unlock these at level, 7-2, but for whatever reason they don't do that. I don't know why. The one big thing that bothers me about this game is the battle music. The main battle music is something I don't really like at all, and it'll wear you down in a really short period of time. They do give you some better music for things like dungeons, but the one that you have to hear all the time, it's just really lame. I know it's just a casual game, but I kind of wish they had more soundtracks, since that's the one that you're going to hear 90% of the time. All that being said, there's nothing too deep about this, and it's not supposed to be. It's something you pick up, you play for a bit, and you put it down until next time. But I like the artwork, I like the cartoony style characters, I like the color palette. It comes off as like fun and easygoing, and it's something a wide range of ages can play with. And you can unlock more heroes, and each of them they give you a different attack ability, so you get some variety that way. It's just made to be a simple game. It's a match 3, so it's easy to figure out, easy to get going and put down whenever you need to. But some of those bosses, they will take you a while, and when you die, if you don't continue using like an ad video that gives you back half of your life, or spending gems that gives you full life, you've got to start all over from the start of the battle, even if the boss was 10 battles in, and that's kind of ouch and a bit frustrating to me. So I wish that was improved in some way. But that's all for this one. This was Blue Screen of Tech, and I'll see you in the next game.